So welcome guys, thank you very much for joining us again. There's a lot to cover today, so I'm gonna get right into it. Now, a couple of things that I quickly wanna cover. Let me first share my screen. We are looking at how to optimize our storage capacity on the Mac, right? So guys, there's a couple of tools that I'm gonna be using with us. But before I get started, the one thing I always tell my clients as soon as before we start cleaning up or clearing up space on the drive is first do a time machine backup. That is rule number one, okay? Because you might by accident delete something sensitive, then you'll have that safety net in place, okay? So first of all, to check how much storage you have on your machine, if you go to Finder, right? And in Finder, if you open Finder, if you go to the Finder menu button, go to Preferences, and in your Preferences, you can, under Locations menu, you can click on Hard Disks, and you should see the Macintosh HD or Mac HD pop up on the sidebar, right? Then what you can do as well is if you go to the View menu item and then you click on Show Status Bar. So if you click on your Macintosh HD, you would notice that on your status bar, it will show you how much storage you have left, okay? Beg pardon. So as you can see, mine just flipped over to 47 gigs. So that's how much storage. So the rule of thumb is basically, you know, your Mac will start screaming at you if you're 20% or if you're less than 20% on your storage. Where your Mac is gonna really struggle is, you know, when you are twice the capacity of your RAM in terms of your storage if you're lower than that. So in other words, if you've got 8 gigs of RAM in your machine, if I go to About This Mac, you can see I've got 8 gigs of RAM in my machine. So it means if I've got 16 gigs, which is double the capacity of my memory, on the storage, then, you know, then I'm gonna really make my life unpleasant and difficult for myself because I'm gonna get that spinning beach ball of death all the time. So guys, just be aware of that. Now, seeing that I'm here on my About This Mac screen, let's quickly go to my storage management because there I can actually see what I can do. So Apple has made it very convenient for us now to be able to sort, and not only sort, but use certain tools to make it easier for us to manage our storage. So if we go to our storage tab button, and you will see here, it will show you a hard drive, as well as other drives and partitions that you might have attached to your machine. And here it will show you all the different categories in terms of your storage. Now, you guys might be a little bit confused about what is the other part. Okay, now other is normally the things that are not apps, documents, iCloud drive, storage, mail, and so on. These normally consist of, I would say, your library files and so on. Okay, now you will see that there's this other volumes as well. So consider that part of the system. And of course, it will show you your available storage. Now, at the top, you'll see there's a Manage button. So if we go to the Manage button, it will give us the recommendations in terms of how we can actually optimize our storage. So the first thing is store in iCloud. Now, what this does is it stores all of your files in your desktop and your documents folder, as well as your photos in your Photos application, and puts it in the cloud, and it frees up storage. As your storage are running lower, it does what they call optimized version of your files and so on. We're going to go into more detail with this, but if you go here, you will see that both mine is ticked on, right? So, but guys, I'm gonna park that one for now. I'm gonna come back to it in more detail. So I'm just gonna cancel this for now. Now the one just below that, it's optimized storage. Now what this means is that if you've got any films and TV shows which you have purchased in your TV app, right? If you finish watching that, then what it will do is it will remove the file from the computer, but it will only leave the thumbnail. And you can at any time re-download it or even stream it when you're on a good Wi-Fi connection. The one below it, so I'll optimize that, because whenever I want to download movies and so on, then it will automatically remove it from my computer when I'm finished watching it. The empty bin automatically every 30 days. So I'm going to turn that on as well, because it's pretty convenient. So I'll turn that on as well. Now, the fourth option here is reduce clutter. So if I click on review files, what it will do is it will go straight into my, as you can see, it points straight to my documents folder. And here it breaks it down for me in terms of the largest files at the top and so on. And here you can already see, guys, I've got this massive download that I forgot to remove. That's taking 4.82 gigs up of my storage. So I can click on that, and at the bottom it shows me where it is actually sitting. So it's sitting in my downloads folder. I can show it in Finder, but it's already pointing it at where this file is sitting. So I can delete it straight away. So when I click on delete, what it will do is it will remove it immediately, right? But let me go to the one below, because I'm going to keep that one for a reason. So I'm going to delete this one. Now keep this in mind, it bypasses the trash. It's not going to go into trash. So if you delete something from this point, it's going to totally delete it. That's why I said rather create a time machine backup first. So I'm going to delete it. And there we go. Now, the reason why I didn't delete that file, because as you would have noticed on my path, it shows that it's in the downloads folder, right? Now, guys, before I go to the downloads, you can, of course, follow the process with any other files that are unwanted here, and you just follow the same, just rinse and repeat the same step. Now, if I go to my downloads, in my downloads, I can now see this is now everything that's sitting in my downloads folder on my Mac. So here I can now see what it is that I want to remove, right? And let me just go down. And if I click on size, it will now organize it in size, ascending and descending. And it will show me now all of the files that is sitting in my downloads folder that I can easily just go and delete as well. Now, between my downloads and my documents folder, I can also go to unsupported apps. Now, these unsupported apps are apps that are no longer compatible on Catalina, so no reason to keep it there. So straight ahead, without me searching for it, I can just click on it and delete that too, right? And I can even go to file browser if I want to go and browse these files manually. I can click on there and just go into my individual folders that is available at this point. Now, the next step below my recommendations, it gives me all of these other options as well. Now, iCloud Drive, I'm not going to go into detail as yet. I'm going to park that one. That is part of the store in iCloud. But let's go to the iOS files. Now, guys, this is very important because, you know, this can be maybe legacy files of previous iPhones that you've backed up over the years that is now on your computer. Remember, this is now for people that came now before the iCloud era, you know, where you could actually back your phone up into iCloud. And some people are still backing their phones up into the Mac. So these files can take up quite a bit of storage. So now if you're in that situation, I would recommend that you actually change your phone to do a backup onto iCloud and rather remove those backups from your machine. Now, I've taken the liberty to connect my phone up just to show you guys how to do this. So for those who are not doing this, all you do is you go to your settings on your phone, you go to the top of your profile, and in your profile, you go to iCloud. And if you scroll down further to the bottom, you see this iCloud backup and mine is turned on. So rather back this, your phone and your iPad up onto your iCloud, right? And this will ensure that you can then move that or free up that amount of storage that you will be using for, sorry, let me just move this menu away. Get to the top here. And that will ensure that you will be able to free up that storage that you were using for your backup. So now that I've got my backup turned on, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna delete these two files. Okay, so they have freed up some more space. Now, if I go further down, there's an email that looks at, that shows you how much storage your email is taken up. Check this out. If I go to messages, if I look at my messages, it actually shows me all the attachments that I've sent with through my messages, right? So now I can, because your messages are synced with your iCloud, this will now resolve some space issues on your phone as well. So now if I go in here and I now start deleting some of these files, and I can highlight multiple of them. If you want to check out which ones it is that you're deleting, you can even click on one and use your quick look. For those who forgot how to use quick look, or those who are new, you select the file and you press the space bar. And now you can see what that file is all about, right? Before you even delete it. So these are the types of things that you can now use also within your storage management. So now I delete those files there just as a quick example. And I can look at in terms of my music, can look in terms of my GarageBand library and so on. Even going to my photos, which I'll look at a later stage. There's even for the podcast, or if I've downloaded some podcasts in my podcast app, I can delete it from here. But seeing that I'm in my storage management window, I can just go and even remove it from here and delete it from here if I don't need it anymore. Under my TV app is all of my series, my movies that I've downloaded. Those will then appear there. Now below you can see there's also of my other users that are taking up storage, my system and other. Now guys, I'm gonna talk about this at the end of our session, but let me turn back to applications because I've skipped applications and books. Now when it comes to applications, I get this question a lot, right? Angela, what is the best way to delete apps? Now, generally speaking, when you have downloaded apps from the App Store, it's simply just dragging it to the trash and it's deleted, right? But not with all apps, it works that way. And besides, not all apps you're gonna get from the App Store. So guys, I'm gonna show you this little tool that I'm using. So, and this tool is called, it's in my applications folder. Beg your pardon. It's called App Cleaner. So if I go to App Cleaner, you will see that it gives me this little where I can just square where I can just drop the apps into it and it will delete the apps. Oh, by the way, did I say it was for free? Guys, it's for free. So you can just download it for free. But check this out, it even becomes easier. If I go here to this little button in the top right-hand corner, it shows me all of my apps in my Mac. And here I can see there's quite a few apps that I don't use anymore that is actually causing more harm than good. So I'm going to select the Downy app. And if I select that app, check this out, what happens. Now, initially what I would have done is just trash that app, but check here, there's also other files that is linked to that app. And I'm going to select it and I'm going to remove all of them because I don't want any part of it on my Mac anymore. Now I can go further and do it with any other app that I'm not using, like this Seashore. It gets all of the apps that's related to that. And now I can trash that as well. It's taking a bit long, but let's give it there we go. And remove. Put in my password. There we go. So now, not only does it look at apps, guys, check this out. Even with widgets, Now, widgets is those small little apps that is found within your, if you go to your, just move this part of the way again. If we go to our notification center, and under our notifications, you'll see that these items here are all known as widgets, right? Now, this will also remove any widgets that you've downloaded that you're not using anymore. So there we go. And lastly, it also does plugins. So think about it, any plugins that you have inside of your system preferences that is taking up space that you never use, like this time machine scheduler that is causing more issues in my life. I can even delete that as well by just going, there's my time machine scheduler, and that will remove it. Initially, I couldn't remove it for some odd reason, but now if I have this app, I can just click on remove. It's rid of it, as simple as that. Okay, so guys, you can download that tool, just called App Cleaner, and yeah, use it, it's pretty good. Okay, and there I've freed up quite a bit of storage on my machine, right? Now, seeing that I've done now the app side of things, we've looked at the documents, we've looked at the downloads and so on. Now I want to go a step further and look at the iCloud side of things, okay? And with this, I'm just going to open a little presentation just to show you guys, to explain the whole optimized storage side on via iCloud. Understanding optimize the storage through iCloud. So guys, this is now a quick slide to show you. So if you have like your equipment, in this case, you've got an iMac, a laptop, and an iOS device or an iPhone. And now, what will happen is, if it's all now using the same Apple ID, they're all connected to iCloud, your iCloud drive is switched on and so on. Now, if you put a file in your iCloud drive, or say for instance, you attach your desktop and your documents folder to your iCloud, and you put a file in there, then what will happen is automatically it will also appear in your cloud storage, right? Or in your cloud server. Now, from your cloud server, it will go to your other devices. Now, this will, of course, be repeated as you put in other files. Now, if you put in other files, again, that goes into your cloud server and then transfers to your other devices. But now keep in mind that file number 2, let's say file number 2 is a huge video file, right? And yet it can handle the size on your iMac, because your iMac's got a 1 terabyte storage. It might not handle that same size on your laptop nor on your iPhone. Now, in that case, you can then switch to optimized storage on your iPhone and your iPad. Now, when you do that, what will happen is that file will be shrink down, and the way it's shrink down is that it keeps the thumbnail or the optimized thumbnail on the laptop and on the iPhone, and only keeps the actual file and content on the cloud server. And as you can see on my iMac, because optimized storage isn't turned on. And below those files, you will see there's a little cloud with a down arrow pointer, as I can actually click on it and re-download that file whenever I'm going to a place where I think that I'm going to be offline and so on. Okay. Now, there's a few concerns with this when we're going to mention those concerns, but this is ultimately what it boils down to. Now, this is in theory what happens. Let's look at the practical side of things. Okay. So now when it comes to the practical side of things, if I go to my Apple and I go to system preferences, then in my system preferences, in my profile at the top, Apple ID, you will see that my iCloud drive is turned on, right? And if I go to options, then you will also see, I'm just going to close down my mail in the background. You will also see that my desktop and documents is also turned on, right? But on top of that, you would notice that here at the bottom, it says the optimized Mac storage. So it says exactly what I mentioned earlier on. The full content of iCloud Drive will be stored in the Mac. And if you have enough space, older documents will be stored only in iCloud when space is needed. Now, guys, this is something that you don't need to do yourself. It's an algorithm that's built into your Mac, right? And it will or into iCloud, and it will automatically do it. However, you can control certain things if you're running macOS Catalina. So let me show you quickly. So now that those settings are turned on, if I go to my Finder, you would notice that my desktop and documents don't fall under favorites anymore. It's now grouped under iCloud. Because what happened is whatever I put into my desktop and documents on my Mac will also be stored in iCloud, which is, of course, huge benefit. It syncs with all my devices as I've shown, and it also works as a small other online backup. So now if I click on, say, my documents folder, you would notice that there's a little symbol that comes next to my folders. And because my drive space was running a little bit low, it now started doing this. It started moving those files now to the cloud and only has the thumbnails on the computer, right? So if I now click into these folders, you will see that it shows it by those files too. However, now if I want to view these files, if I click on it, and I'm just going to do a quick look. If I do quick look on it, you will see I can see the thumbnail of the file, but I can't actually view the contents as yet. But if I double click on it, you will see that it now downloads it. And now I can look at the contents in Word, or even now if I go into quick look, I can look at it in a better view, right? Because the contents is now being downloaded, and you can see that it opens in Word as well. Now, this is pretty handy because, as you can see, most of the time, these files are quite small, 12 kilobytes, 50 kilobytes. Even if you were using huge presentations up to 100, 200 megabytes, these things download pretty quick, as most people these days have fiber and LTE is pretty fast. So even for people that worry that this is going to take up too much time, don't worry, guys. It actually goes quite quick, and it's a huge benefit. Now, say for instance, I want to move a file in that manner to be in the cloud and use the thumbnail on the computer, right? I can do that manually without waiting for iCloud to do it. So to do that, I just do a secondary click on the folder. Say if I want to keep only the thumbnail on the computer of this folder, as I'm not using it regularly, but I like to keep it there, then I just secondary click, remove download. And now if I do that, you will see that little cloud will appear next to that folder. Okay, give it some time. It's just a delay, but eventually it will appear there. And the same thing we can do with a folder that we want to keep downloaded on our Mac. We just do a secondary click, and you will see that it says download now. So if I click on that, it will download all of those files to my computer, and you can see there's the progress bar as well. All right. Now, not only can we do it with our files, but we can also go to our photos. Remember, photos is also part of the, or you can also make it into an iCloud photo library. Let me just go back to System Preferences. In my System Preferences again, under Apple ID, under Photos, you can see it's turned on, and it coincides with this setting under my storage management, guys. If I go to storage, wait a sec, here we go, manage, and under my storage management, yeah, under storage iCloud, that one there, right? It's now basically taken my photos library and made it into an iCloud photo library. And here I can see, if I go to photos at the top, preferences, you can see it's also optimized Mac storage. So this means I can have thousands of photos. The older photos that I don't access on a regular basis will then keep the thumbnail only of those files, and the newer photos will have the full one, and as the space decreases, it will do the same with those ones. So you can keep a lot more photos on taking a fraction of the space, okay? And those are basically the options that you have with your iCloud optimization. Okay. So guys, that is my presentation.
Okay, well, you'll get an email with a recording of this evening. Once again, thanks, guys. And Angelo and I are going to start working on the schedule for next month. So your feedback from that survey will be really, really appreciated.
Thank you.
So once
Thank you very
again,
much.
Thank you.
Okay, bye guys.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
That was great.